Hey ladies, so today we're going to be talking about how progesterone supplementation is not going to fix your low progesterone issues. Leah's hot take. This is probably one of the most controversial things that I talk about, is how progesterone supplementation is going to fix your progesterone issues. And we're going to break it down. We're going to break down what progesterone does and all of those good things. You guys know, I do speak about this from experience. I did have chronic low progesterone. That was one of the big things that drove me into balancing my hormones, is because I had very irregular ovulations. And when I did ovulate, my luteal phase, which is ovulation to period, would be 8 days. And it should be 12 to 14. So I had very, very low progesterone. And the only solution I was ever given, you guessed it, is progesterone supplementation. I actually had a reaction to progesterone supplementation though. It just kind of made me psychotic. Actually, not actually psychotic, but it just made me very angry. And I do know a lot of women who are I get super moody and when they were on progesterone supplementation as well. So something to kind of keep in mind there. But newsflash, it didn't actually fix my progesterone issues. So we're going to kind of talk about how to actually fix them and how I've helped a lot of women fix their progesterone issues. So first of all, this is my first time recording in my new office. Don't you love the paint color that you guys picked out? If you follow me on Instagram, I had you guys all pick out a paint color, and you guys picked Swiss coffee, which, to be fair, I agree with you. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. So now we need to decorate it. So I do still have my plant, in case you're wondering. I do still have my plant. It survived the move. It's just downstairs because I don't have anything to put it on that can, make it visible. So I don't know. I'm kind of there's my lovely books and an outlet that I need to cover. So yeah, I just moved you around to kind of show you, but I don't know. What do I do with this blank, beautiful canvas? Do I put shelving back here? Built-in shelves, or do I put a picture back here? Do I put the neon title of the podcast back here? For sure I need to get a rug, because can you guys hear the echo in here? It's the wooden floor with an empty office. It's not a great combo for an echo. So I would love your input. So please give me your input on what you think I should do here, because I'm open to suggestions. I would love suggestions, actually. So send me a message on Instagram, or just comment under the YouTube video. So today, we are going to be talking about progesterone. So let's just dive in. Okay. So, when we think about progesterone, what do you guys think about? Probably think about pregnancy, right? I think that is probably one of the biggest things that we think about. We think about it in terms of fertility. And if you are only thinking about it in terms of fertility, you are missing about 90% of the story of what progesterone does. Okay. So before we talk about what to do about it, I think it's important to know what it does. So in the first half of your cycle, so period to ovulation, estrogen is the dominant hormone, and ovulation to period, progesterone is the dominant hormone. So prior to ovulation, you really don't have any progesterone. It's very, very, very little. So this is also why it's important, if you do get your hormones tested, you need to be tracking your ovulation, because you want to be testing progesterone 5 to 7 days after ovulation. And if you're someone that has irregular ovulations, you very well can be testing at the wrong time, and then you're told you have low progesterone, so therefore let's just go on progesterone supplementation. But that could in fact be something, if you're going on progesterone supplementation like that and you haven't ovulated yet, that could be something that is impeding your ovulation. Okay. So that's why tracking is really important, because otherwise you're not going to get a good read on your progesterone. So think of the first half of the cycle as estrogen is the builder. It's building up the uterine lining. And then progesterone is the balancer. I like to think about progesterone as so estrogen builds up the uterine lining and progesterone makes it comfy, makes it all ready for a guest, makes it ready for a baby, whether you're getting pregnant or not. That is what progesterone is doing. Okay. Now it does so many other things, but in terms of the uterine lining, that's what it does. Now there's two hormones that keeps estrogen in check, testosterone and progesterone. Progesterone for women being much of the higher of the two. So this is where if you have low progesterone, a lot of times you hear about people talking about estrogen dominance, and it's not that you necessarily have too much estrogen. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's just that you have too little progesterone in terms of estrogen. And that's why going on supplements to lower your estrogen might not be the answer, because that may not be the reason why you're having those symptoms. Okay. So a lot of symptoms that go along with low progesterone are mood swings, heavy periods, breast tenderness, bloating, spotting before your period, cramping periods, pre-period anxiety, pre-period mood swings. PMDD is associated with low progesterone as well. Okay, so it's really important to kind of think about that. Now, it really supports that luteal phase. So after ovulation, so you don't produce progesterone until after ovulation, because all the way up to ovulation, that follicle that releases the egg at ovulation forms what's called the corpus luteum, and that is now producing your progesterone, okay? And I like to think about it as like the grocery bag that's holding everything together. Remember, it's like preparing your house, it's making it all nice, but it holds everything together. So if you're having really short cycles, spotting, that's telling you like your groceries are leaking out of your bag. So progesterone's not strong enough to think about it. Progesterone's not strong enough to keep it all together. Does that make sense? So that's why sometimes if you're like, why am I having really short cycles? It could be that you're ovulating and that luteal phase is way too short, or you aren't ovulating at all. And that does happen as well. So number one thing when it comes to having low progesterone is you have to track ovulation. You have to figure out if you're ovulating in the first place, because that's number one. That's how we're producing the progesterone. Okay. So that's how it supports in that phase and how it supports not getting symptoms of the high estrogen. Excuse me. It also prepares the body for pregnancy. It maintains that uterine lining so the embryo can implant. Something really important is that progesterone also plays a very important role in your immune system. When you think about women who have autoimmune issues, for example, a lot of them get better while they're pregnant. And that's because you lower the autoimmune, like the body attacking itself, so it doesn't attack the embryo. So it does play a really big role in preventing the mom's immune system from rejecting the embryo. So it's kind of cool. Like, it's basically an immune modulator, which is cool. Like, isn't that cool that your body knows all those things? It also helps reduce anxiety and it helps you sleep. It has a very calming effect on your brain because of its association with GABA, which is like your calm neurotransmitter. If you don't have enough, that's where we're getting the anxiety, the insomnia. Anybody get insomnia before their period? Yeah, that's why. So if you ever feel like you're losing it before your period, that's typically because we don't have enough of the progesterone, enough of it to be like calming and centered and positive and all of those things. Estrogen is often talked about in terms of protecting bones, but progesterone also has a lot of bone support and neuroprotective health. It's literally good for your brain and your memory. And it really helps keep your bones strong, especially through perimenopause. So it is also an anti-inflammatory. So when you're thinking about it in terms of that, think about it in terms of cramps. So too little progesterone, more prostaglandins, more cramps. So when you think about it as an anti-inflammatory, that's going to help period pain. That's going to help with endo, all of these types of things. And that's why a lot of times with endo, we have estrogen very much unchecked, or even progesterone resistant cells, which, that is like another category to kind of think about there. So progesterone isn't just your pregnancy hormone. Did you hear all those amazing things that it does? It's your anti-anxiety, period supporting, metabolism supporting, mood balancing awesomeness. But this magic only happens when you make it on your own. Okay. And that is where I think we're missing the boat. Okay. So yes, it is really important for pregnancy, but it impacts all of these other things. And I often hear from women, they're like, oh, I had all these issues and I took progesterone supplementation and it really seemed to work, but like now I'm having all these issues again. Yeah, because it didn't solve the problem, right? So that is the big thing I always talk about. Now, let me tell you when I would 100% tell you to go get progesterone supplementation. If you're pregnant and you have low progesterone, go get your butt to the doctor, get on progesterone supplementation. I tell this to clients all the time. We have clients that will get pregnant. They've been struggling with infertility and they'll get pregnant before we've gotten their progesterone, where I'm like, oh, it's going to be solid. Go test it. Get on progesterone supplementation if you need to. But if you are cycling and you have low progesterone, it's not going to fix the issue. Okay. And I have had so many clients who have been taking progesterone to try and lengthen their luteal phase. And then we start working on calming the inflammation in their body. We start supporting ovulation better. And without progesterone, they lengthen their luteal phase. They get pregnant. They get rid of their pre-period anxiety. They get rid of their PMS. They get rid of their anger before their period. So it's so possible. It's so possible. But we have to figure out what's driving your low progesterone. Okay. So that's one of the biggest things that I think is so important that we're kind of missing out on. Right. So like I said, if you're pregnant, get your tush to the doctor. There's often times when it's I will use it as I will recommend it for you to self-treat for an allopathic reason while you figure out the root issue. If there's something super severe going on, but because it can obviously help, but it doesn't fix the issue. It's not healing it. And you're just sticking a holistic Band-Aid on it. And those symptoms are going to crop up in other places. Okay. Or it's just going to continue to get worse because now you're just trying to plug the dam with a Band-Aid, right? And then the Band-Aid gets wet and it doesn't work and you can't get it to re-stick. So you really need to think about it in that way. It's very different than something like magnesium, right? Where it's well, isn't that a holistic Band-Aid because I have to continue to take magnesium? Well, it's not really something that you produce, right? So you have to think about it in that terms, and we can't get enough of it from your food. So it's a little different, in my opinion. I think it's a little different. So why is it low? Okay. Some of the most common causes, one of the most common, top of the line, is chronic stress, because progesterone and cortisol are made from pregnenolone, and your body will always prioritize cortisol over progesterone because it's always going to prioritize the fight or flight hormone, saving you from a bear, versus making a baby, right? And I know we talked about all of the things that progesterone does outside of making a baby, but you have to think about it in the primary sense, primal sense. That's the word I was looking for. Primal sense. That's one of the big things that it does, right? So if we're constantly stressed, your body's going to try and save you from the bears versus making the babies. Okay. And when we think about chronic stress, it is not just emotional stress. So sometimes I'll have people be well, I'm not stressed. The people who say they're not stressed are the people that are the most stressed. So if you're someone who's I'm not stressed, but I bawl my eyes out every time my cycle gets irregular, that's a stress. Okay. I'm not stressed, but I'm wired at nighttime and people annoy me. Probably stressed. Okay. Those are just some common ones where people are oh, I'm not stressed, but I don't like people. Or I'm not stressed, but every time something goes wrong with my cycle, I cry about it. It's okay, that is a stress. Okay. But on top of that, there's other things that cause the stress, like blood sugar instability, parasites, heavy metals, food sensitivities, gut issues. All of those are what we would call hidden stressors because they're inside. You can't stare at them. It's not like family or toxic work or things like that. Or your dog peeing everywhere. Okay, that was wildly off topic, but remind me to tell you about the puppy that's driving me crazy. Literally. Okay, so another one is going to be not eating enough food. Okay, that's going to impact, again, more like a hidden stress. Mineral imbalances. We have to think about all of the minerals that are going to support the production the functions of our body that are going to produce progesterone. So when we think about this, we kind of gotta follow the trail. So minerals are going to impact ovulation, right? If we're super stressed all the time, we're going to have low potassium. Potassium sensitizes our cell to our thyroid hormone. If we don't have optimal thyroid hormone, that's going to impact ovulation. Do you see how this all tracks out? Which is why you guys, I talk about minerals all the time. Minerals and understanding your testing and all of that it is such a root issue. It truly is. I know I talk about them till the cows come in, but that's because minerals impact every function in your body. They are the spark plugs to every function in your body. And so when people are like, I am balancing my minerals, I'm taking electrolytes, I'm taking a multi-mineral. That is not what I'm talking about. Okay? We're going deep into what are your individual minerals and your patterns, and how can we support them? Okay. That is obviously something that we do in the Hormone Reset program. We are going to be testing your minerals. Inflammation and gut issues are another really big cause of like a hidden stressor because it is interrupting the hormone communication. It's also going to be impacting your detoxification of estrogen, which if your ratio of estrogen and progesterone is off, obviously we're going to have symptoms of low progesterone. Okay. I just want to like share with you some like real life examples of like how I've seen this play out. So we have a client that came to us for infertility, and she had been on birth control for a long time. She's been off for 7 or 8 months. She had very irregular cycles. They're very long, very, very long. We started supporting her minerals and her stress. She was doing a really great job. She's like, I feel a lot less stress. She was really focusing on her eating. And when we did a retest, we saw that she was like just moving all of these things, like detoxing more, like all of this craziness. And she's like, why is this happening? Like, I wanted to see a positive retest, right? That is a positive retest. We want to be detoxing and moving that stuff. But then when we supported that second retest, it's when her cycles really regulated and she got pregnant because we got her progesterone up. Makes such a big difference to follow that route of like, don't just go, oh, I ran this test and I started feeling better and it's great. A lot of times when you start feeling better, you're getting stronger. So you're going to start moving something. I'm not a big believer in jumping into detox. I think you need to get stronger first so that you have an effective detox and it doesn't deplete your body. I have had clients who were with NatPro doctors supplementing with progesterone and never could lengthen their luteal phase, had really painful periods. We fixed the underlying issues, which were, in their case, gut inflammation. This particular person I'm talking about, gut inflammation, stress, blood sugar instability. And when we fixed those issues without progesterone, she got her painless cycles and she lengthened her luteal phase to 12 days. These are like real humans. So I think one of the hardest ones is not trying to out-supplement a dysregulated nervous system. So when we hear chronic stress is a big driver of low progesterone, what do? You go, where's the ashwagandha? Where's the GABA? Where's the magnesium? Where's the rhodiola? You can't out-supplement a dysregulated nervous system. If you try and do that, you're going to really expensive pee, and really low progesterone. Because those herbs, while they may help you not feel so flustered, they're not helping your body feel safe. Okay? And if your body doesn't feel safe, if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, that's going to be impacting ovulation, which is going to be impacting progesterone. And then obviously, the main reason why you would have low progesterone is if you weren't ovulating. So if you aren't ovulating, that's, I feel like, the biggest like boom, boom, boom in your eyes of like why you have low progesterone. And then the circle becomes, why are we not ovulating? Is it insulin resistant? Is it excess testosterone? Is it not eating enough? Is it mineral imbalances? Is it stress? Is it a thyroid issue? Because all of those would impact ovulation. And then the last one, I feel like that really drives low progesterone is a thyroid issue, which again, that also impacts ovulation. So I think that two of the easiest things that you can start doing to support progesterone are supporting stress, supporting getting rid of stress, and then supporting egg quality. Because the better your egg quality, the better your progesterone will be as well. And egg quality is like eating enough nutrient dense food, CoQ10, foods that are high in CoQ10, zinc, all of these are going to support egg quality. Making sure you're eating enough, making sure you're staying away from endocrine disruptors and false fragrances, all of those are going to impact egg quality. Those are just some simple ways that you could do, and that's just focusing on your food and all of that. So the other one that obviously I would be doing, which is, again, just something you can start doing today, is blood sugar balance. And here we go. Talking about blood sugar balance again, Leah. Half your plate is non-starchy veggies, quarter protein, quarter fat and carb. So supporting blood sugar balance is something super simple that you could do. And so it's so crazy. I have so many people who are like, I balance my blood sugar. And then we start looking at their meals in the hormone reset program. And it's like, no, we're not balancing our blood sugar. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that you don't know what you don't know. And when you start truly balancing your blood sugar, you have better sleep, you start having more energy, your mood is more stable. It just makes a world of difference. It truly does. And then supporting sleep. So the more we can support a great circadian rhythm and sleep, the better that's going to be supporting of our ovulation and therefore our progesterone levels. So that's another really big one. And then functional testing. The reason why this can be such a game changer for you is because you get to know exactly what's going on with your minerals if you're going to do HTMA testing and customize that to what you need. But also, I have never, ever, ever seen anything work as well as seeing numbers to make you go, I need to make some changes. It's one thing to have symptoms and be like, I don't feel good and I'm tired and all of that kind of stuff. But I had a client one time who, she was actually really young. She was only 21 or 22, and she had a lot of trouble losing weight. She had painful periods. She had hair loss. She had migraines, which are all horrible things, right? But when she finally saw her labs and saw how screwy the numbers were, she just was like, oh, I need to make some changes, double down. And that is where I think it can be a really, really big game changer for a lot of people. So it's kind of like, I know I should do this stuff. I know I should. And not only are the tests guiding you on what to do, but it's very hard data facts of hey, this is what your levels are. This is what they should be. Obviously, we need to make some changes. So, if you have low progesterone, this is going to surprise you. I wouldn't say that Dutch needs to be your first test. I think HTMA needs to be your first test. And then before I would even do Dutch, I would probably do GI map. Because that's going to look at our gut and how we detoxify estrogen and other hidden stressors that would be impacting progesterone. If you want to do all three at one time, great, knock yourself out. But if we're going to go in order of for budget reasons, I would do HTMA, then GI map, then Dutch. Because if you have all these symptoms, we know your hormones are screwy. We're well aware they are, right? And so let's go upstream further up to see what we can do to support those hormones versus just looking at the levels and being yep, they suck. I knew they sucked because I feel XYZ. And then trying to manipulate the hormones. Let's go farther up to your things that impact the hormones and start there. Okay. And if you are using progesterone, this is not me yelling at you. I mean, yeah, it's kind of me yelling at you, actually. I take that back. But it's not me yelling at you if you are also working to figure out why you need progesterone supplementation. Because if you just use progesterone supplementation and you're like, this is going to solve all my issues, you're not going to feel so good in a little bit. Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work long term. Okay? So let's dig deep and figure it out. Okay? You might already have a little noodling of what it actually is for you. And so let's now be an action taker. Okay. Let's go do it. Cause if you don't fix why it's low, you're not solving the problem. So It's important. So when you are digging deep, I think it's important to make sure that you're being very honest with the questions that you're answering for yourself. So a lot of times people are like, oh, I balance my blood sugar. Oh, I eat this way. Oh, I sleep this way. Be honest. Be honest. Is that how you intend to do all of those things? Or is it actually how you are doing them? I think that's a very important question. And then actually implement. And if you've been trying to implement and it's not working or you're not consistent, we need to make a change. Okay. Accountability can be a game changer. Running labs is a game changer. Okay. And that is where the hormone reset program can just shine and change your life. It's literally called the hormone reset because it resets your hormones. Okay. And it has worked for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. So someone just graduated from the hormone reset program and she said, I don't think you talk enough. Sorry, I hit the mic. I don't think you talk enough about how much one-on-one support you get in here and how much individualization you get in here. Because you're paired with a coach who I've personally trained, who is your touch point person the entire way to literally be like, oh, you need help breaking down the modules? Let's do this. Oh, you need help like supporting these meals? Great. Oh, you need help with how we're going to manage this with our nervous system? Great. You need help implementing your protocol? Great. Oh, you have questions about XYZ? Great. You want to dive deeper with this lab? Great. And it makes everything so doable to have that person in your corner, to have somebody fighting for you and helping you be your biggest advocate. So if you go to bit.ly/HRP free call, you can book your consult call with Alexis, who's one of my past clients, to chat about what you have going on, see if the hormone reset program is a good fit for you. If it's not a good fit for you, we're going to tell you that. We do actually tell people that. And if this was super helpful for you in terms of understanding like progesterone cream is not a magic fix. It's not. I would love it if you share it with a friend, someone you really love because you want them to fix their progesterone issues. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later.